From here, choose to step one foot forward and the other slightly back, coming into a standing lunge. We'll spin the back heel down towards center, maybe heel toeing the footprints to come onto railroad tracks for balance. From here, choose to lift the hands up overhead, drawing elbows down and back behind, like drawing two arrows. You may float the hands toward the floor behind you. Maybe reaching fingertips towards each other, they connect and interlace. Option to reach for your belt and take that into both hands behind you to make slack, especially if there's tenderness in the heart space. So this is enough. This is a big kind of reversed warrior one. Option to stay here or press into both feet as you hinge at your hips and bring your shoulder toward your knee, lifting both hands overhead behind. You might stay and breathe, maybe setting your belt down, or choosing to keep reaching up and back behind with belt or interlaced fingers. Reaching back with both hands to press into your lunging foot. You may rise and reach up again for warrior one. Bringing the hands to the heart, staying low in the front lunging knee. We'll step the back foot forward, finding chair pose. And switching sides, finding warrior one with both feet on the other side. Choose to stay and breathe or reach up. Maybe peeling elbows down and towards each other behind you. You open your chest. Perhaps interlacing the hands behind you or finding your belt to create space between your fists. Choose to stay here and breathe, pressing into both feet as you lunge with your front knee. You may lift your heart towards the sky with a full breath in. Again, choosing to stay and breathe, or hinging at the hips to bring the shoulder towards the front knee. Humble warrior, reaching the arms up and back overhead. Maybe taking 2 or 3 breaths here with a different perspective, pressing both feet into the mat equally. Imagine tearing the mat in half as you reach up and back, return to standing as you release your hands, maybe placing your belt aside. Reaching towards the sky, your palms may connect and lower to heart center as you step the back foot forward, finding chair pose. And return to standing. You may take a moment to practice self-care, practicing making any adjustments as needed, observing how your energy or mood has shifted, if at all. You may nourish yourself with water or tea, anything to prepare for what's next. If you'd like to practice a standing balance with me today, I'll invite you to look down and notice your feet, maybe rocking forward and back, lifting your toes and then your heels. Ooh, you may wave around and waver in space. You find your balance. As you're ready to shift your weight into one foot, the other footprint might leave the mat. Bending at the knee, you may choose to rotate your folded leg outward and lower the toes to the mat. Imagine dragging the ball of your foot through sand to connect your lifted heel with your standing ankle. This is enough. You can grow roots under the little kickstand you've created with your externally rotated foot. Squeezing outward with the muscles of the thigh and glute to allow that folded knee to stay bent to one side. If you'd like to allow your tree pose to grow a little taller, you may slide your footprint to your calf on the inseam of your standing leg. Pressing that foot into the midline, and pressing your standing foot into the floor. Can you find more stability here? And you lift your heart, lift your face. Imagine a bright light shining from your throat. Choose to stay here, or maybe offer assistance, taking the ankle in one hand to bring the footprint past the knee to the inseam of the standing thigh. Perhaps your tree grows branches at any stage with its trunk, maybe waving in the wind or finding stillness. Reset as many times as you'd like or need as you choose to take 3 breaths here. With or without grace, I invite you to find your way to standing as you lower your lifted foot and maybe shift your weight so you can shake out the ankle of the standing leg. Maybe pedal your knees, shake your hips. March in place and find stillness as you notice the difference between sides. As you find stability in your mountain pose, you're invited to shift your weight to the other footprint now, allowing it to be different than the side that came before as you allow your foot to hover. Bending at the knee to lift it to maybe hip height, practicing external rotation. The strength of the thigh may carry the knee outward as you lower the foot to the floor. Sliding the ball of the foot through imaginary sand, connect the heel or more of that footprint with the inseam of your standing ankle. And see, your tree may grow branches to support you by reaching out for balance at any time in this practice as our mind shifts focus. Choose to stay here and breathe in your grounded tree pose. Or as you're ready, slide the footprint to the inseam of the calf on the standing leg. Continue externally rotating the hip, allowing the knee to come out to the side. Choose to stay or offer the lifted ankle support with one hand as you find connection with the inseam of the standing thigh. Pressing down into the floor of your whole standing foot and pressing your folded foot into that strength of your standing thigh, maybe reaching out, growing branches for support. Can you take 3 breaths here, allowing yourself to reset as needed? Just like a tree may be struck by lightning and send up a new shoot to start again, our trees may drift to the ground and reset again in a new form or the same. So do with that what you will, maybe allowing some metaphor, offering yourself some forgiveness, saying, it's okay, I'm okay, I can be imperfect. This is what practice is for. As you're ready to find your feet, you're invited to shake it out. Consider if you'd like to practice an arm balance today. For crow pose, I like to work with a block to stand on with my toes to get a little more height with my hips. Another option could be to bring a block if one is available, maybe on a higher height in front to allow a kind of target for the forehead. I'll show you what I mean. If you'd like to join at any time or watch and then try, you're welcome to do both. I like to begin crow pose from a toe balance. So if you're practicing with blocks, I'll invite you to bring both feet, the balls of both feet, and all of the toes attached to your block on its lowest setting, a steady platform. So your heels may dangle off the back. You can kind of bounce like standing on the edge of a step. And from here, we'll lower the hips toward the heels as the knees bend forward in space, kind of a little squat. And you can see it's nice to be next to a wall, another form of prop for support. Again, these are just options and observations to make this yours in your space. All right, from our toe balance, the knees might come out a little wider as though pointing towards or just past the corners of the mat in front. And from here, I'll reach with both hands through the window I created with my knees bringing my handprints to the floor. So you can see now I have the ability to kind of press into my feet using my legs like springs to lift my hips. And I have this point of connection with both handprints underneath my shoulders, or even a little wider. So I can look at the mat in front of me and I can send my chin forward so my face will continue to be somewhat upright, or at least looking at the path ahead. From here, I'll squeeze the outer edges of my armpits with both knees, and I'll press with my arms into my shins and the inner sides of my thighs and knees. And I'm noticing that connection. Now I'll start to lead with my heart, tipping my chest forward, bending my elbows straight back, making kind of a shelf with the backs of my arms for my shins. Can you see that? All right, bringing it all together, I'm going to begin to use my feet like springs, lifting my hips and tipping my heart forward, pressing my shins onto my arms and my arms onto my shins, engaging the core. And I'm noticing my block could be a little closer, so I come down and prepare again before attempting to take flight in my crow pose. All right, letting the elbows bend back, creating my shelf, pressing into both whole handprints. Maybe one set of toes leaves the block, and maybe I just look at the block in front of me. Oh, I can tap the block behind me as I attempt to take flight. Really squeezing toward the midline with both knees. I may find a moment of flight. So do with any of those pointers what you will as you practice this in your space. I like to take comfort in knowing that I've only got a few inches to fall and that it's okay, however it turns out. Oh, as you feel complete, maybe offering yourself a sigh of relief and comfort. After all that standing effort, you may find softness with your props for support as you come to lie down on your back. So get there in any way that's supportive for you, offering yourself a moment for an extra breath or a drink of water, anything you need. And coming down for bridge pose, we'll lie on the back and take a moment to see what flat feels like for the spine. Maybe pressing into both feet to lift the hips and tuck the tail and set everything back down. Maybe tucking the chin, lengthening the neck. Take 3 full breaths here, maybe practicing horse's breath as we begin to settle the system a bit. Nice. As you feel ready, I invite you to press into both feet and lift your hips to let them hover above the mat. Driving your fists and forearms into the mat alongside you, you can get a little extra lift from the strength in your arms as you lift your heart towards the sky. Can you tuck your chin here and lengthen the back of your neck as you make sure that you're only pressing weight into your shoulders, not into your neck? You can watch your belly inflate and deflate as you take several breaths here. You have the option to place a block or some other support under your hips if you choose, or continue to practice strength as you squeeze your glute muscles. You could alternate lifting one set of toes and then the other. With the option also to walk your hands towards each other, maybe squeezing your elbows as well, creating a little more lift under your spine, If you're able to interlace your fingers underneath your hips, you may find an additional lift there as well. And we'll undo these adjustments as we come down to the floor, first separating the hands and elbows, walking shoulder blades apart from one another to make space for the spine to begin to lower to the mat like a string of pearls. Perhaps setting your hips down last, you can heel toe your feet a little wider and let your knees fall together in center, offering a moment of relief for your low back.